When you think about the community and your work, in one of your articles on EdPost, you mentioned that a key part of advocacy is teaching parents, right? So what do parents need to understand about literacy education to be effective advocates for their children and neighborhood schools?
I think they have to know they should trust their gut. If their kid is not reading, there's something going on. And to walk into meetings at the school as an equal with the teachers. There are power plays in those meetings, and they, will call a parent mom or dad. And that's a power play on behalf of the schools. Yes, you are someone's mom. Absolutely. But you are also a full-grown person with expertise in your child. And you should be known for that and feel that that's appropriate. That, I have a friend who is a psychologist that wasn't believed that her kid wasn't reading.
Yeah.
And she said that she suspected dyslexia and still not believed. We told our school that dyslexia ran in our families, and they shut us down.
Yes. Well, and I think a lot of times in schools, the idea that once they diagnose or say that it's dyslexia, right, then they are responsible for providing. Yeah. And so a lot of times in schools, they do try to shut it down. So is there a top 3, top 5 set of questions that you would say to your parents of what should they be asking their schools, right? Because even if they have a gut feeling, right, and I agree, they should trust their gut. What would be some of the questions that you would suggest they start with, so that they feel more informed when they walk into that school meeting?
This is really hard because you don't want every parent to have to understand the science of reading,
right,
or even the law that allows for it. But, just to ask, what's the evidence that this reading program works, right? And evidence is a key word, not research, because there's research on a lot of things.
Right.
But is there evidence and is there an effect size that the program you chose works? What do you do if a kid is already struggling? What systems do you have before special ed? Do you double down on what you're doing? Do you bring in a different program? And what's the evidence for that different program? So I think just talking about evidence is probably better than knowing. You can ask possibly what kind of instruction you use and hear about the pedagogy, but still those are words that a lot of parents don't know. So I think evidence is probably that common word that we know. I think parents should also know they can bring an advocate to a parent-teacher meeting and to an IEP meeting who knows about this stuff, so they don't have to learn about it.
Right.
But
well,
in general,
I think, yeah.
In general, I think, that there is education law to protect all our kids and to know that they can learn more. So not everyone has to learn about education law, but there are people that specialize it, and a lot of them are free advocates, at least for a little bit. Everyone has to make a living. But there are people that know more that can help them.
Yes. Well, and I think even just like you said, but just starting with what reading programs are you using in your classroom? It's starting with the names of the program, and then say, can you tell me what the evidence is that these programs work? And I think even, unfortunately, some of the teachers might not know the answer to that question, but at least then, too, the parents can start looking into those programs and seeing if there's any evidence. And then to your point, they can reach out and ask for help from an advocate or someone else. And in some cases, it's the communities. And as we think about, again, things parents can do, and we've talked about some questions they might ask, Is there anything that you would think to remind parents as they're going through this process?
Yeah, I want to remind parents and advocates that teachers are people too. They need a lot of practice too. And so while this is a really urgent issue, we also have to be patient and supportive of our teachers. They've got to get it right. And so that urgency should drive doing it right and doing it well, not doing it fast.